Welcome to another edition of Dish It Out. I'm Frank Benowitz, and with me, of course, the one, the only, Chef Doug Fee.
Well, most people say one's enough. But thank you for joining us here again for another episode of Dish It Out. And tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do some pork and apples and some variations.
Well, we've been talking so much about doing local and going local that we have some beautiful farm pork here. And when you see how marbled this pork is, you'll never go back. So what should they be doing?
Well, they should be staying tuned to Dish It Out. And welcome back to Dish It Out. Now it's time for have a little fun here.
Doing a little pork two-way,
Exactly.
apple two-way.
Well, why don't you tell us what you're making first?
Well, I'm going to do some apple chutney. You know, in the fall time of year, apples are available, and I think you're using apples too. We're doing two-way apple, two-way pork. This beautiful farm pork, and what is my favorite cooking method, of course, deep fry.
What a shock.
So I'm going to do a standard breading and deep fry some pork. I'm going to serve it with a little mashed sweet potato, a very nice fall item. And then this apple chutney, and I think we're both going to do some haricot vert, right?
Yes, yes. Fancy for green beans.
Yes, indeed. 3 times the price, too.
Exactly, exactly. Well, that's the beauty of it all. And as for me, I'm going to do a stuffed pork chop, and I'm going to do take some of our Honeycrisp apples and put that into a stuffing and stuff my pork chops. We're going to serve them with some roasted potatoes and some green beans.
So we're not doing any, well, actually, technically we are. Pork and beans? Pork and beans?
Well, if you want to go there, we can. But why don't you get us started with the chutney? 'Cause
I
it's gonna
have
take
to.
the longest.
Yeah, well, you know, when I can talk forever, it seems. So I'm going to start off with some butter. You know, put a little butter in it, as they say. You'd eat it. You know, you would.
I love butter. There's
right.
nothing wrong with butter.
I have some brown sugar here, so I'm going to basically do quasi caramel.
Okay.
You know, as if the apples weren't sweet enough, which they are actually, because I have both the Honeycrisp that you're using, you said, and also some Piñata apples, all Jersey apples. They're in season. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm just going to get this butter started.
And don't get the wrong idea. Honeycrisp apples are really not that sweet. They have a little bit of a bite to them.
Exactly, but the Piñatas are really nice and sweet. So, but you know, I always like to balance the cooking. This is 1 Honeycrisp and 2 Piñatas that I put in there. I'm going to get that going because I really want to cook this down. It's probably going to take a good 45 minutes or so.
I don't know if I can wait that long to eat. That's usually your line, I know.
I know. Isn't that sad? So since I'm cooking this down so long, I rough chop the apples. I'm going to actually finish it off in the Vitamix.
Okay.
And I'm going to add, because of the season, a little dried cranberry and a little dried cherry to it at the end.
Okay.
So I got some fresh ginger here that I chopped up. I also have here some beautiful Jersey candy onion and some fennel. You know,
Okay.
just a little bit of fennel. I don't want to overpower it, but just want a little touch of that licorice type flavor.
Right.
This beautiful Jersey fennel.
So,
Yeah.
what is candy onion? What does that mean?
It's sweet,
Okay.
like me. And it's from Jersey. I mean, most of the stuff's from Jersey, which means that you know, everyone can get it that lives in the Jersey area. If not, you know, we talk about keeping it local. So whether you're watching us in Maryland or Maine, everybody's got farms and farm markets these days. So, you know, you go out and you see what they have that's local and fresh, and, you know, just put something together. This apple chutney to go with pork. Something different. I'm going to put my profile is sweet and spicy, right?
Okay. I don't want to go into your profile there, Frank, but...
It's not a dating profile. I'm just saying my flavor profile.
Oh, that's different. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little red chili to this. I'm not going to add too much because I know that you're a little sensitive on that.
Yes, I have delicate taste buds.
So that's
And I'm a sensitive guy, and that's on my profile.
you are. That's on all your profiles. Absolutely. You're sweet and sensitive. I'm sweet and spicy.
Let's just cook.
All right. Little salt. Little fresh ground black pepper. Even though I have that chili flake in there, obviously a different flavor to it.
Now,
And
that's boiling. Do you want that boiling?
yeah,
Okay, just checking. Just checking.
My temper doesn't boil though. Little apple cider vinegar because I want to balance that sweetness and that spice out. And like I said, I'm going to actually be cooking this down at bring to a boil, and then I'm going to simmer this for probably about 45 minutes. The Vitamix will allow to, I could do this even quicker, put it in there, probably about 7 minutes, and it'll cook it for me. But,
Exactly.
you know, stovetop cooking is always desirable, especially during the holiday season. So this is started. I'm going to let that simmer. I'm going to let that cook a while, let those flavors meld together, and you're going to show us how to do
All
this
right.
pork loin,
Yes,
right?
I'm all gloved up. I'm ready for surgery here. We have this beautiful pork loin. And you can see it's boneless here. So, you know, if you're ever looking at the supermarket and you want pork chops, just buy the whole pork loin, because that's what we're going to do here. It's a lot cheaper that way. And let's face it, I'm cheap. I admit that. So,
Yeah.
first thing I want to do here.
But this isn't cheap pork. This is a
No.
little more expensive because it's farm pork. But you know, sometimes, as they say, you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
This is prime pork. So this is probably the equivalent of maybe a Kobe beef of pork, right?
All right, so as you can see, I got all this silver skin away. All right, so now we're left with that nice pork loin. You can see that marbling that you were mentioning before. And
It's beautiful.
that is a beautiful thing.
It's a good thing. I often forget that you're a lefty. It's a good thing you have that knife over that way.
You know, well, sometimes those run-on sentences of yours.
I know. I'll stay over this way.
All right, so I'll give half for you and half for me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when we cut it here, you can see that marbling is just
Oh,
isn't that beautiful?
see, that's not like the regular grocery pork that you get.
Not at all.
Not that there's anything wrong with the regular grocery pork. It's almost like a Seinfeld thing.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
However, there is something wrong with it because there's no flavor there. There's, you know,
Gorgeous.
flavor is right in there. So, all right, now, how thick do you want your chops for frying?
Well, I'll slice some if you want.
Okay.
I got to do some of the
In
work,
that
right?
case, I'll go first and I'll slice mine. For my stuffed pork chops,
Oh, yeah.
give a nice thick cut.
Well, yeah, you're going to stuff them, right?
Absolutely. And I want to keep them consistent in their size.
Wow, can they see that? Can they see how beautiful that pork is? I know you just showed them, but just even on one of those chops, I don't think they've seen that much fat marbled through pork. Usually you think pork, the other white meat, very lean,
It is.
and that's
Can't be
beautiful.
Too lean. So what I'm going to do now is while I'm all gloved up here, I want to cut a pocket in here. You know, I don't want to actually slice this open like a sandwich, you know, to stuff it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my paring knife here, and I'm just going to poke in side here and cut a nice little pocket and leave that opening as small as possible. If I had to make like, you know, I don't know, 150 or 200 of these for a banquet or something, I would put my stuffing in the pastry bag, but I'm not going to have to do that because there's only a few here. I'll just stuff it with by hand. And just make sure that I have a nice opening there, put my stuffing inside,
You're only making two.
good to go. Well, that's all I need is just one for me and one for the crew.
Oh, what about me?
Well, you're cooking your own pork chops.
Oh,
So
okay. Fine, be that way.
I never said I was good at sharing.
You know what? Just for that, I have a little this red chili flake. There's a little bit more in there. How you like them apples?
Oh!
No pun intended.
No pun intended, yeah.
Matter of fact, while this is cooking away, I'm going to add a little bit of this beautiful Jersey fresh thyme to it. And when I stalk here, just run my fingers down here, add a little of this beautiful thyme. You like thyme, right?
I love time.
You like when it's time to leave too,
I love it when it's time to stop talking.
right? Well, it's never
That's
that.
to live. Well,
Never that time. I like time to eat and time to
all right.
leave.
Well, now it's time for you to slice your chops.
Oh, okay. See, I'm gonna have to wash my hands after. I don't have my gloves on. That's okay because we're gonna change this. So I'm gonna slice mine nice and thin.
More
Well,
breading, more.
yeah. Well, you know, I figure at least once in my life, at this point in my life, I should be thin, right? So I'm gonna do 4 here.
Okay.
So that's 3 for me, 1 for the crew.
Okay. So my knife wasn't good enough for you?
It's a lefty. So yeah, you can still see that beautiful. And I don't know about you, but I'm gonna cook this probably about 140, 145 maximum. May still have a little pink in there, and a lot of people don't like that. But you know, with this beautiful farm pork, trichinosis is very rare to find anymore. And 145 would get rid of those parasites anyway.
That's it. That's
They're
it.
not going to be there though.
No. And if they were there, they'd be dead, so they'd be safe to eat.
Exactly.
But they're not there, so don't worry about that.
Not at all. It's beautiful though.
All right, so we're going to gear up to start cooking our pork. So we'll be right back. Stick around for more Dish It Out.
Experience exciting new flavors at the Culinary Center at Mercer. Learn from top chefs in the industry. Gain hands-on experience in our state-of-the-art kitchens. Acquire the knowledge and skills necessary for a successful career in the culinary arts. To learn more, call the number on your screen, the Culinary School at Mercer. We have the recipe for your success.
All right, welcome back. Now it's time to get things cooking, literally. So,
Beautiful thing.
That doesn't look very exciting.
Doesn't. Well,
But you can see the movement of the oil in there, actually, so it looks like it's getting pretty hot.
it's getting there. I need a thermometer. We'll grab
Let's do
this
something
one.
over here. Let me get my stuffing started to allow time for it to cool so I can stuff my pork chops. And I just have some diced onions in there. And for this, for your stuffing, you can put onion, celery, whatever you got hanging out. I didn't feel like being bothered with celery, so I skipped it. So, but I'm going to put some mushrooms in there and some apples. And the
I'm sorry. I'm like Rice Krispies over here.
boy,
Must have been a little water. See, we actually clean things here.
you can,
Who would think it?
sanitation is a important key, a component to everything that we do here. So.
Absolutely.
But it's amazing. You can be, you get on my nerves even when you're not talking. How about that?
Who would think that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn this down a little
All
bit.
right. So I got some diced up, some mushrooms there. And again, it's just what you've got left over when it comes to stuffing. So it's gonna.
Just what you have left over. But if you have relatives left over, can you use them to stuff in your pork?
No, that's what you do is you show them the door.
Ah, that's a good call. Good
See?
call.
You pick your friends, but you can't pick your relatives. So
Well, you shouldn't pick your nose either. Isn't that the old Saturday Night Live skit?
so much
Oh,
for
you
the
can.
sanitation thing. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what I'm going to do, besides ignore that comment, is I'm going to put in some of my apples here.
And those are the Honeycrisp, local New Jersey Honeycrisp, right?
Absolutely. And the thing is, because they have that little bit of acid to them, they're going to retain their moisture a little better. It's not going to turn to applesauce on them.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to toss them around a bit. And I cut up some brioche. So,
Oh, fancy.
yeah.
Brioche
all the
done.
stops. So we're just going to let this simmer out. Let these onions and apples start to get a little bit tender.
You know what it's time to mention, though?
What is that?
And no, it's not a shameless plug for Mercer. I don't know, on the back burner, I can kind of smell, but you don't have the smell-o-vision, do you?
Oh, dear Lord.
They need it, look at that.
Save me.
We got smell here, we got that apple chutney on the back burner.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Smelling good in
All
here.
right. Well,
Uh-oh, he's bringing out the booze now.
Bringing out
See,
the booze.
I brought him to drink. Didn't think it would happen.
okay. But I don't drink and drive. Didn't drive me to it. It just brought me to it.
Oh, well, close
All right,
enough.
So I'm going to heat up the edge of the pan here, and I got actually some brandy, some cognac.
Looks
and,
fancy.
Well, I thought the bottle's really cool, so that's why I picked it.
All right.
So,
It is a
but
cool
we're going to use
bottle.
this in our sauce as well. And we're just going to add a little bit of it to the back of our pan here.
Looks like a monk's
That forward.
flask. Whoa!
Ooh, look. French cooking.
Where's the as if I don't sweat enough over here, you know? Beautiful.
right.
Where's the marshmallows?
So we're going to let that all evaporate away. We want the flavor from the cognac, but we don't want the alcohol. The alcohol tastes awful. We want that all to evaporate out of there, and 90% of it's going to be gone.
Did you let that flame go that high because of my smell-o-vision comment?
If I really wanted that high, I would have added more, and you wouldn't have eyebrows right now.
You do have to watch that at home, though, because if you have ceilings here are very high, but
Yeah.
at home you can always put a little less, or
I'm sure one or two people over the years have fried their microwave that way.
or their whole house down, for that
Yes.
matter.
All right, so this is the texture we want on these.
Looks good.
Add that to our bread. And what I have to mix this up to get our bread a little softer, I have some, gotta be a little neater. I have some pork stock.
Did you say pork stock?
I did.
Well, I guess that makes perfect sense since we're making pork to match
Exactly.
up the flavors.
I'm gonna add some moisture to that, and sometimes in the stuffing, I'll add an egg, and I'm going to today, just because it's a binder, and it'll make the stuffing a little more dense. So hopefully a little more of it's going to stay inside of our pork chop.
It makes sense. And you can also get, again, wherever you're at, whether it's Jersey, Pennsylvania, anywhere, they have nice local eggs that are around too.
Without a doubt. So we're going to let that sit and soak a little bit, and let it cool so I can stuff my pork chops.
All right.
Meanwhile, time for you to go to work.
Meanwhile, sounds like one of those old cartoons.
Well, back at the ranch.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I have here my standard breading, and I just have here some seasoned flour, seasoned with just some salt and pepper. So if you don't believe me, I'll put a little bit more in, right?
Are you saying we shouldn't believe you? It's unbelievable.
Well, I didn't actually season it, so.
Oh, okay. In that case,
So now it's seasoned, and you don't have to season your flour. It's just nice because that's the first coat of flavor there. So we have these beautiful thin pork chops, and you'd be proud of me. I'm doing the, instead of the one hand wet, one hand dry, I'm doing the standard breading. A little bit of flour, shaking off the excess, right into our egg. And this I did season ahead of time, the breadcrumb. And that I seasoned with, I don't know if you can see it in here, but some dried Italian seasoning. They have those beautiful Italian seasoning blends that are dry. I have some right here, fragrant.
it is indeed.
It's beautiful. And some Parmigiana cheese, also known as Alfia would say, Italian sugar. So I put some Italian sugar, the Parmesan cheese, the dried herbs, and just some salt and pepper. And we got that, just a little coating for that pork. Don't really need it, but should do all my pork chops and then get them in.
Probably a good idea.
Should we just start off with 2?
You know, it's your call. Why don't you start with 2 and
Yeah. Got my oil 350 degrees. I did use my oil thermometer. So if you don't have a deep fryer at home, which luckily here at school we do now, but can't do that for the camera, so I'll pop that right in there. Let's see. Oh, deep fry. Yummy.
I know that's a sound you like.
It is.
You know, is that what you fall asleep to instead of white noise? You got this in the background?
You know what? I think I'm going to. I like that snap, crackle, pop.
All right, I'm just stuffing this pork chop here. Gloved up once again. And of course, you may got to make sure you cut the apples small enough so that they actually fit inside the pork chop.
That is a good tip.
You know.
And this is another way to use up all those extra apples. I know Maddie and I often go apple picking over at Terhune Orchard or somewhere else, and we end up picking, by the time we're done, 20, 30 pounds of apples. You got to find all these different things to do with it. So apple chutney, stuffing. I mean, they're great to just put in your mouth and eat them, obviously, but
It's not a bad way to go.
20, 30 pounds is a lot of apples to eat. So
That is indeed.
anything you can do, applesauce, so many uses for apples. They're very diverse.
All right. Well,
That's how I'm going to stuff my face in a little bit. If you allow me a bite. I mean,
that sounds so attractive.
oh, I figured you like that.
Well, so we got a nice filling there. And I don't want to overfill it because if I overfill it, what's going to happen as any protein as it cooks, what does it do?
What does it do when a protein cooks? Well, it starts to allow the water to escape, and hopefully you get that Maillard effect with the caramelization. Starts to shrink, reduce.
That's it. It shrinks.
I knew I'd get it eventually.
Okay. So it's going to shrink up. So if I overstuff it, as the protein shrinks down, it's all just going to squish out of there anyway. So turn my,
Oh, look at those. They're
I'm jealous you're ahead of me in the cooking.
well, I didn't do good mise en place because I didn't have my
Paper for your
yeah, exactly. Yeah, my oil was a little hot, so those got a little darker than I would like. But as Chef Beyer would say, brown it's done, black you're done.
Exactly.
So they didn't burn, but the next couple that I put in there, I'm turning my oil down because it got a little hot on me.
Well, while you have clean hands, can I trouble you to season my stuffed pork chops there with a little salt? All right, so it's time for me to cook. Fire up my my burner here. Got a nice thick pan, so what that tells me is that it's going to heat up and it's really going to hold that heat. So this is really ideal for searing. So that gets just a little warmer, and when you look at the oil, and you can see it, actually you can see the shimmering of the oil
Yeah.
when it's at the right temperature.
Well, evidently I didn't because mine was a little hot.
Well, maybe you were talking too long.
Well,
Thought?
it happens. Maybe my hot breath just added the extra.
No,
Can I add that to my profile too?
I'd rather the hot breath was over there instead of over here. So, all that
Yeah,
said,
I don't blame you.
Okay. There we go. There we go. We got that nice movement of that oil on there. See the, looks like it's thinned out, so the viscosity is a little more. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this right down. I like that as much as the frying sound.
That does. I mean, that sounds good. Did you want me to season them for you at all? Or did you already do that?
Oh, no, I thought you seasoned that. So
Oh, I apologize. I'm behind the gun there. That's pretty thick, so. Uh-oh. The Adam Sandler pepper boy. Fresh pepper. Fresh pepper.
Okay. So now I actually have to turn this down because this is going to retain heat. Initially, when you have the, put the cold food in there, it drops the temperature, but the recovery rate for panda stick is really not that long. So
Now you're going to cook that through all the way, or just going to sear it and finish in the
I'm
oven?
going to sear it and finish in the oven. Normally, with this style pan, I can put the whole pan right in the oven, but what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to finish it on a sheet pan, and then this way I'm going to make my sauce right in the same pan,
Oh, okay.
and one less thing for me to clean later.
Absolutely.
So, take a little peek here, and oh, we got that nice sear going.
Oh, that looks good. Can everybody see that? Can you see that? See, they may not have smell-o-vision, but at least they can see this caramelization. Oh, that's the stuff.
Okay. So now when I go on the second side, I'm actually going to turn it down a little more. I don't need to let it season for quite as long because the heat from the pan is going to come through, so I don't want it to become a crispy critter on the bottom there. So.
I'm just grabbing, don't mind me. Let's see if the oil is,
said than done, I have
well,
to
you
say.
know, everybody minds me, right? What can I say?
All right, so this is going to go into our oven here. Let them finish off in there, and we're going to cook that to what temperature? Quiz time.
145-degree final resting temperature. So usually you go a few degrees below just to make sure that final service temperature is 145. A lot of people get confused with that, especially when it's Thanksgiving time for turkey, right? And they overcook
All
it.
right. Congratulations. You get a cookie.
We get a cookie.
All right. So I can
Do
see that.
I get a pork chop?
I don't see why not.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. All right, you can see a lot of stuff stuck to the bottom of the pan here. And we call that the fond. There's lots of flavor there, so we want to bring that off the bottom of the pan.
Does that mean you're very
sauce.
fond of the fond?
As a matter of fact, I am.
I'm very fond of the fonds. Hey, Mr.
right.
C.
See, once again, you drive me to the bottle.
Isn't that, hey, Mr. Fee?
Really?
Oh,
All right.
I try.
So, yes, you can be trying.
That's
Okay, okay, so I'm going to add this to the back of my pan here. And one more time.
whoa, holy Toledo. You have eyebrows still?
I believe I did.
Oh, yes, you do.
All right.
You're lucky
So with
you're a
the
trained
sauce-
professional, right?
That's it. Don't try this at home. You know, the one thing with the brandy is you want a lot of flavor. And if you're doing this at home and you don't want that big flame like that, I mean, it's really cool. But if you don't want that, you can turn the heat down a lot more and just let it evaporate out of there slowly. So, which is probably a safer way to go, but it's fun.
That was,
So.
as Eddie Murphy would say, now that's a fire, Gus.
Okay. So now with this, so the brandy, I want lots of flavor from the brandy. I want a nice strong sauce. So I got rosemary here to flavor it, and
What'd you do with her sister?
I don't even know her sister.
Oh, well, you got
All right.
rosemary. It's a
So
start.
it smells great, and you can't substitute dried rosemary for fresh rosemary ever. That's a little twig. So I'm actually going to use it, just throw this right in here, and I'll get the flavor from that. Because what I'm going to do now is I have my pork stock. All right, and this is going to become our sauce, and we're just going to let this reduce on down.
I made a nicer looking fried pork chop for you.
Ah, that is much better.
Because the other was a little dark. And
Okay.
I'm sure it still tastes good, but it's a little prettier, right?
Well, we eat with our eyes first, and we want our food to be pretty.
You're right. You're right. So I'll eat the ones that are less pretty.
All right, so we're going to let this simmer down. We're going to get our pork chops ready. And what do we have to go with this?
I did a mashed sweet potato, which I have, and I'm going to show them a piece of equipment called a ricer real quick. Anytime you make a mashed potato, very nice. You want to get nice smooth. You can mash with the hand masher, it's fine. But if you invest in a ricer, it's not a very expensive piece of equipment. It's great to put the potatoes in, squeeze it, and then you have really smooth potatoes. You can pipe them out, And you have a story that you can share later with us with the piped potatoes and what happened to you in class.
Yes. You just never know what's going to come up. We're going to plate up right after this. Stay tuned for more Dish It Out. All right, it's your favorite part.
Time to eat.
No, just kidding. Time to plate up, then we can eat.
Close enough.
All right, so you first.
Well, this is that tool I talked about, a ricer here, and my potatoes are already very well mashed, but you can see you could just press these through and smooth them out. If they weren't, I could have put them in there whole. And I have plenty to do, and obviously if this were full, it'd give you more results there.
So the great part about using the ricer is there are no lumps. So if you want to actually put in a piping bag and pipe it out, make it look real fancy, your potatoes, that's an ideal way to do it.
You can see how nice and creamy and smooth those potatoes are.
That's beautiful.
So I'm going to actually start putting this in here. Did you need to start working on your plate up, or you want me to finish with mine?
Exactly. Well, I can start.
Ooh. Yummy, yummy.
It is.
Mashed sweet potatoes. Oh, you got that beautiful stuffed pork chop coming out of the oven right now.
Do indeed.
I can hear the sound of it sizzling still and smell it.
All right, so yeah, I'm very happy with how this is turning out here. You can see the stuffing is there, but it's not squishing out. So we had a nice ratio of stuffing in there. You can see that it's nice and plump.
Like me. I'm nice and plump.
Okay, we can go with that.
Absolutely.
But this is 145 degrees and you're not.
I feel like I am. I'm sweating like I am. So I'm actually going to keep this in this little beautiful ramekin, even though normally we talk about using different color plates, but sometimes you got to go with what you got too.
That's a fact.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is pretty.
That one's mine?
Sure, why not?
All right.
It's the smaller of the two, just so you know.
You want me to grab my Haricot Vert and then I'll pass it over to you?
Oh, yes. Fancy green beans.
Fancy green. You can see how fancy they are, right? So we'll get a little bit of that on there. A little bit more. They are healthy, even though I did salt and butter them. And usually, when you're doing those green beans, even the Haricot Vert, it's nice to blanch them first. A little salted water, cook them, soften them up a little bit, and then saute them in that butter and salt. I'm going to pass that over to you.
Thank you.
Is that within reach?
And these roasted potatoes, all I did is toss them in, cube them up, toss them a little oil, season them, and throw them in the oven.
Looks
really
good to me.
complicated stuff. So.
I have this chutney that I added the fresh thyme to. I also added the dried cranberries and the dried cherries too. So we'll see if I can get this to stay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. Put that up there. Hopefully it's not too spicy for you. I'm going to get my beautiful fried pork chop.
Yum.
Do just like that. What do you think?
I think that looks beautiful.
If I had those fancy micro herbs from the farm, I'd probably put those on right here too as well.
And what I have here is just our reduction of our sauce.
Oh, that looks great. That thickened up quite a bit too.
That did. Just let it reduce down. You get the thickness you want. If it gets too thick, add a little more stock.
Looks beautiful.
Doesn't have to be hard. So now, your favorite part's coming up next.
Hey, time to eat.
Time to eat. We'll be right back after this. All right, so now we are at your favorite part.
This
We're
is.
Try everything.
Ah, yeah. Makes me happy.
Well,
This is the pork two ways, right?
Exactly.
Farm pork. We both use those beautiful farm apples. Oh, I got a little Christmas there. Oh, this is the beautiful pork chop too. Look at that. Oh,
That's pretty.
beautiful.
See, we got a nice stuffing right in there.
Mm-hmm.
So nice and moist. Plenty of moisture in there. Well, now that we've inspected it, now I can actually try and eat this thing.
So you're doing well there. You need a chainsaw, right?
Not at all. Not for this pork.
Oh, it's tender. I just meant something large, like a big slicer. That's good stuff. I'll tell you, I'll take my clean fork and I'll get a little bit of this. I'm getting a little bit of the chutney sauce there.
Oh, okay. Is this the one with the extra spice on it for me?
No, that's this. Here.
Yeah, okay.
You ready for it? A little on the side of your plate.
All right.
See if you're feeling adventurous.
All right.
Want a little the mashed sweet potato?
I'm okay.
No,
Here,
no,
I'll leave this here for you.
All right.
It's on a clean fork as well.
That's beautiful. That's a big bite.
It's a big bite. Well,
I'll-
same here. So thanks for joining us in this episode of Dish It Out. We'll see you next time. I like this part. You can't talk.